So the inspiration, or the plugin inspiration that I found in this case, is this one. A switch in layout tool. I'm assuming that's just a typo. Please make it so that we can set containers to be displayed if a switch is turned on or off. So yeah, this is going to be the thing we want to try and hide or display. So the next thing we need to do is figure out a keyword that we're going to need the end user to type in so that we can search for it in our potential script. So I'm going to put a dollar symbol. I don't know, what would it be? We'll just say container switch, and then container switch show. I need to create whatever switch I'm about to type in. I don't know. I'll just do that for now. Okay, so I've got this free layout, and I've just assigned some random stuff to it for now. That doesn't mean anything at the minute, but we'll make it mean something soon. So the idea is we're going to make this thing actually I'll make it hide it. So the idea being is that this section at the bottom will hide it when this DG test switch that I'm going to create is turned on. That's the idea. Next, we're going to actually create our script file. So I'm going to do that just by making a new common event. And then in the C# program, what is it called? C# program assignment, I'm going to create a new thing. What do I want to call it? I'll just call it layout. Sure, hide again. Boom, that's been created. We'll just make sure that's assigned. Hit apply. And then we're going to edit our script. We've got a template file that's created by Bakin. The first thing I'm going to do, just because for me personally, I find files easier to read when there's less lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is just remove the comments lines. Okay, so although I've worked with ROM items before, so again that's the things that use the management tags. I'm not a memory bank, so I need to remember what they are. So the way we access that is through the catalog. Thank you very much. So we go through the catalog, and to go inside it, we just use the full stop. And we wanted to get the full list of items. So this is a method, so obviously put that at the end. Yeah, so we're going to filter this down, because at the minute this is just going to give me all items which I don't want. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say of type, and then we're going to specify what type of item from that full list we want. In this case, the type of item we want is layout properties. So that's what I'm going to put. So we want all items of layout properties. What we want to do is make our class or script aware of what it is we're looking out for on these layouts. So I'm going to create something called a class property. I'm going to make this private because nothing else needs to have access to it, and we don't want anything to change it. Not that anything would, but it's best practice anyway. So I'm going to make it read only. We then need to declare the type, so it's going to be a string. We then need to give it a name, so this is going to be underscore layout tag, and we're going to set that to that. I'm going to rename our variable here to be layout properties. we want to look through the layout properties that we've got, and we want to find all the layout properties that have this tag that we've added in Bakin. So I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call it layout properties with tag, and I'm going to set this to be a new list of layout properties, and that's it. It's an empty list of layout properties now. So the reason we've created this empty list is because we're now going to loop through the layout properties we got earlier, and we're then going to check each one to see if they have our layout tag, and if they do, then we're going to add them to our layout properties with tag list. For each variable layout property in layout properties, we need to do an if statement. So if the layout property we're currently looking at contains a tag that matches that, then we want to execute whatever code we put inside this little block. And you can see it's already pre-filled it out for me. So we want to manage our layout properties with tags list. It's currently empty. And we're going to add the layout property that we're dealing with at the moment in this loop. Now, something we can do as well is we can say tags dot to lower. So what we're doing now is we're looping through these properties. We check if it contains our layout tag, and if it does, we'll add it to our list that we're going to deal with. I'm just going to steal a quick helper method that I created on one of my other plugins. So this is, I'm going to set it to battle just so it's easier to spot. So all this helper method does is just pushes something to RPG Developer Bakin's debug log when you're doing a playtest. And what we're going to do is push log. That's the name of the method we're going to call. I'm going to say the sender, so I'm going to say PG test. And then the actual message I want to print in the log is layout properties with tag count. Okay, so theoretically, what's going to happen is when we start our playtest, Bakin or our script is going to pull all the layout properties from the catalog. We're then going to create an empty list of layout properties. We're then going to loop through the layout properties we got from the catalog and check if any of them contain the layout tag we've created, and if it does, then we'll add it to our list. And then finally, we're going to push a log to the debug console, and it's going to display the number of layout properties that we've added, and hopefully the result should be 1. So we've hit the logs, but unfortunately the result is 0. So it means we haven't found any that match what we're looking for. What I'm going to do instead is check whether or not it's something to do with whatever it is I'm trying to search against. So all this is saying is if the layout properties tags is not null or empty, then we're going to add it to our list. So at this point, we're not checking for anything specific in the tags, we're just checking if it's not empty, add it. And let's see if we get anything else with that. So we still got nothing. So that tells me that we are potentially looking in the wrong place. It might not be layout properties. So I am going to get all objects or all items from the catalog. We need to update our list and make sure that matches. Now what this is doing is looking through every ROM item in Bakin and checking to see if the tags on those items are not empty. And if it isn't, then it's going to add them to our list, and we're going to print out the count in the logs. So 4,955. let's go back now and start filtering again. For our specific wording. We're getting all layout properties that contain this, which should hopefully return at least one result. So we're still getting 0, which is interesting. So that potentially means that it's not a ROM item. Although, one thing we can do to test it... Right, I'm just gonna quickly write out what I'm wanting to try, and then I'll explain it. Okay. So, what I've done is I've reverted it back to getting only layout properties. And instead, what I'm doing now is looping through those layout properties, and I'm going to log every layout's name. So we're not getting anything. I'm curious to know if we have any layout properties being returned. So I'm just going to comment that out, so we're not dealing with that code right now. And what I want to log is layout properties count. So I want to see how many layout properties we've got from the catalog, if any. We've got 1. Okay, let's have a look then. Let's test it out, see what we get. So because we're only getting 1 of these back from the catalog, we don't need it to be a list anymore. We can just get the first or default. Let's see, all layout nodes dot count. Help of a good spell. Then I'm hoping this should display a large number. 54. That seems much more accurate to me. I'm going to make a new variable. Just call it layouts. And I'm going to set this equal to layout properties dot all layout nodes. So this is going to be a list of layout nodes. Keep putting nodes. Is it layout nodes or layout node? Layout node. I don't think it has a concept of a layout node. So we'll have to bring in that. So it does. I'm going to delete this. Bring this back in. So for each node in layouts, actually no, I'll call it layout because that is more easier to read. And then we're going to go back to doing what we did originally. So we're going to do an if statement. So if the layout dot tag, actually we'll do the first one. If string dot is null or empty, layout tag, and then that, yep, there we go. It's figured it out for me. So if we've got a layout that has a tag in there, it's not empty, then we'll add it to our list. I'm going to rename our list real quick. Rename it to layouts with tag. Right, so theoretically, we get our layout property from the catalog. We then assign the value of all layout nodes to our layouts variable. We create an empty list of layout nodes. We then loop through our list of layouts, check if any of the tags are populated, and if they are, add them to our list. And at the end, push log. We want to display layouts with tag.count. And I'll tell you what, if luck is on our side, that should say at least 1. 54. Interesting. Let's have a look at whatever the first tag is. So layouts with tag dot first dot tag. Let's see what we're looking at. System screen. So if layout, let's see, dot name to lower, because I can't remember how it was formatted. Let's see, equals item select test, I think. Oops. That would all be lowercase because I made it lowercase. Then do that, and yeah, let's see if we've got it. Yeah, it did find it. So what we've got at the minute is this, which is all well and good, but we're looking for these bits specifically. So we're looking for layout parts. Okay, I've got it. What have we figured out? What have we learned? So we've got our we've got layout nodes. So we know that in Bakin, we now know that these are layout nodes, and the search tag property on those layout nodes refers to these management tags here. We also know that each layout node has access to a property called menu settings, and inside menu settings there is another property called menu items, which is also a class. The menu items are these things, and each of those menu items contains a search tag property as well, like the layout nodes. And the search tag property for the menu items is these ones here. Once we've got all our layout parts, we've created an empty list of layout parts, or of menu items specifically. We've then looped through each layout part, and we're checking to see if it contains a tag that matches what we're looking for. If it does, we're adding it to our list, and at the end, we're printing out the number of things that have been added to that list. Hallelujah! Okay. We're making progress, but we're still a ways off. It didn't work. No, display type didn't actually do anything. Like, it wasn't useful for it. Like, it was just these 3 options, which aren't useful for what we're looking for. Drawable. Let's try that. Oh no. We smashed it! Drawable. That's what we looked for. That's what we were looking for. So, I'm going to get rid of this push log because we don't need that anymore. And I'm going to probably do a little rewrite. So let's see. Equals dot see. So we display the item select thing, which is going to have our tag and switch on there in a minute. So we're going to check if the switch is turned on. If it is, that means we're hiding a certain element in the layout. And then we're prompted as to whether or not we want to turn that switch on or off. And then when we interact with the person again, it should display, and the element, if it was hidden previously, should no longer be hidden, and vice versa. We now need to reflect that in the script. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this because we don't need that part anymore. So I'm going to steal the initialize part of this script again. Don't need to worry about what that's doing, it's just making sure map scene isn't null. So we're going to have an if statement. Now the way we get access to the value of that switch is through system data actually. I need to make a variable for that, or a class property for that I should say. System data is what we use to get access to the switches, the variables and that sort of stuff, so we can get them and set them. If system data dot get switch, and then that's going to be switch name, that'll return a boolean as to whether or not that switch is turned on or off. Bring up this. So our hide layout part at the minute is turned off. We can see that with the 0. So that is hidden. That should disappear. Yep. Now if I change that to a 1, that means true. And now it's hidden. What if they want to hide some layouts with one switch and others with another? Well then now we don't cover that, because we've got a one switch fits all, essentially. So, let's see, I'm going to put something else. Okay, so this one's hide switch, hide layout 1, and this one uses switch hide layout 2. When hide layout 1 is turned on, that means we want to hide this bottom stuff. And when hide layout 2 is on, we want to hide the details window. So hide layout 1. And hide layout 2. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to bring it in here, because we're going to use that in a second. So it's where string. Okay. So because we've got two switches now, we want to do something similar down here, but obviously messing with switch 2. So we can see hide layout 1 and 2 are false. So nothing is hidden. So neither that or that. If I turn hide layout to true. Okay, so that's still not working out. I think the reason why is actually because I put that in bracket in quotation marks, which I didn't need to do. So yep, nothing's hidden at the moment. So I think if I hide layout 1, I think that is the description. No, okay, so nothing's still being hidden at the moment, so that's interesting. Ah, there we go, that's the problem. Container hide switch, container switch hide, okay. Container hide switch. Okay, so both things are visible. Alright, the element that is linked with this switch should now be hidden. And indeed it is. And then the element that is linked with this switch should also now be hidden. And indeed it is. Boom. Okay, we've got a working version. We'll do a quick little refactor now. Just because. Private void, enable, disable layout. Switch name. And it's literally just going to be this side here, but instead of that, it's going to be that, that, that. And then I can say enable, disable layout, switch name 1, enable, disable. Switch name 2. Much nicer to read. And then that's only in there once as well. Rather than us manually typing out the switches we're going to use in the script, we are instead going to try and get or we're going to create an empty list of strings, and what we're going to do is we are going to run through all the layouts in Bakin, and we are going to determine what switches are currently being used, and we'll add it to that list, so that way you don't have to manually specify in the script. You just literally type out the tag and whatever switch you want it to relate to, and we'll figure it out. So I'm going to comment this out. We'll bring that stuff back in later and update it. So for each of our tag in layout parts, select search tag if switches in, if it doesn't contain tag, then add it. Tag should be a string, no? Yeah, shouldn't need to do 2 string. Okay, it was just the autocorrect stuff being a bit funky. So it's not actually tag we want to add. It's actually switch name will string prompt. Okay, so what we've done is we're looping through the layout parts, but we're specifically looping through every layout part's search tag, which are these things down here. And we're looping through every every layout part search tag, and we're then pulling out the switch that's being used inside those tags. All we should need to do at this point is for each switch name in switches, enable, disable layout for the switch name we're currently looping through. Okay, so both of those are currently enabled. That's fine. That disappears. And now if I turn that switch on, and yeah, it's working. So it's figured out the switches that we are using without us manually typing it in, which is good. Well, we can do a bit of cleanup actually. We can do a bit of cleanup. So we don't need this destroy method, because we don't need to do anything when we shut down the game. So we can get rid of that. I will get rid of this push log, because I can always re-add it if I need to.